Atmaha means one who has killed his Atma. That means one who has committed suicide. That means all of us have committed suicide. The Shastras say that all of us have committed suicide. Why? Because we don't know what I am in reality. So is it not equal to killing the real I and considering I am the small I? You get the point? The real I we are always killing. We have killed and we are killing. Because we don't know who am I. We are thinking I am that small I. So have we not killed our real I? So the expression of the Shastras about us is we have all committed suicide. Our real I has been killed. Atmaha we are. So Jajna means always to expand ourselves and understand the unity in diversity. The whole universe is appearing on this Atma which I am. Not knowing the real dimension, I am thinking always I am fearful, I am desirous of something, I am running after something, I am running away from something, I am fearful of so many things. It is only because of our misunderstanding of that I. When that misunderstanding is taken away, we spread everywhere and we understand that it is a unified existence. Even mind also. We think that our mind is only in the brain. Is it so? Suppose, what is our mind? If I feel that my mind is good thoughts are there. Who is responsible for that? Is it not whatever the rishis said there, the lofty thoughts which have been put in these Shastras or interpreted by Shankaracharya or other or our Guru or so? Has not my mind taken up all those thoughts and become what it is now? Can I ever be egoistic about my mind? Suppose body I said, but about the mind also can we be egoistic? This mind is constituted of whatever interactions we have made throughout. Part of it is hereditary, through nature it has come. And part of it is whatever we have read, the novels we have read, the poems we have read, the philosophies we have read, that all have contributed in our mind. So can we be egoistic about our mind that I have very lofty thoughts, I have very pure mind and I am egoistic about it? Is it meaningful? So Jajna attitude is to have the realistic idea about what the world is. It is an unified world, it is not fragmented world. Everybody is unified. That is why our Shastras say that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world is our relatives. Not only that, there is another statement where it says that Yatra Vishwa Bhavati Ekanidam. When the whole world becomes the one nest. Here they have used the nest and the whole world. The whole world becomes our nest with the one single nest. This philosophy or this sadhana will make us where the whole world becomes a single nest. You cannot differentiate, you cannot fragment. It's all the variety appearing in the unity. So he says that Anena prasavishyadvam esha vostvishta kamadhuk. When by doing jajna, constantly doing jajna, you grow, means always keep your mind on this universality of your self, that oneness of the self. And they will always bring you the auspicious results. Devan bhavayata anena te deva bhavayantu aha parasparam bhavayantaha shreyah paramavapsyatha. See the ecological concept in our Shastras, how vast and great it is. Deva, I said it is coming from Dip Dhatu, means brilliance. That means whatever natural powers, fundamental powers are there, they are the Devas. Surya, Chandra, Varuna, the water, air, what electricity, everything you can say, the natural powers. When you perform the jajna, the ritualistic jajna is performed thinking of the Devas. But it need not be a ritualistic jajna. When we are doing any action, if we think of that I am living because of the air is available to us, because water is available to us, the whole nature is available to us. That means being aware of the nature's bounty, being grateful to nature that nature has given us life, can we spoil the nature at that time? We have spoiled the nature, dirtied the river, spoiled, cut off the hills, etc. All this natural spoiling we are doing, throwing the effluent in the air. It is because we are not grateful to nature. We are not aware of whatever nature has given us as life. Is it not so? So when we are aware of the whole nature as a whole, that is the Jajna Bhavana. That we are not doing the ritualistic Jajna, but through all our actions, we can be aware that it should not be harmful to nature, it should not be harmful to at least to the other human beings, it should not be harmful to the animals, it should not, in the larger sense, it should not be harmful to nature. Then if we work like that, then nature also will protect us and give us the right kind of whatever to be given to us. So, Devan bhavayata anena te deva bhavayantu vaha. If you go into the Anvaya, anena, that means by this Yajna, Devan bhavayata, you, by this Yajna Bhavana, you worship the Devas, you can say, or think about the Devas. Te Devaha, those Devas also, Vaha Bhavayantu. When you think of nature, when you are aware of nature, nature also thinks of you. That those Devas will protect you. When you are protecting the Devas, that is the general definition of Dharma. Dharma eva hato hanti dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. When we protect the natural harmony, that natural harmony will protect us. When we flout the natural harmony will kill us. So it is a mutual understanding, mutual appreciation, mutual living. So it takes away the selfish greed from our living style and makes us aware of the entire circumstance and nature as well as the society, makes us a citizen of the entire universe. Parasparam bhavayantaha shreyaha param avapsyata. This mutual thinking, that you are thinking of nature and nature is considering you, this mutuality will always take you to the auspicious goal. Param avapsyata. They will take you to the auspicious goal. Ishtan bhogan hivo deva dasyante jajna bhavitaha tairidattan apradayebhyo yo bhunkte stena eva saha. All the bhogas, all the enjoyments you are having, they are being given to you by nature. Who? To whom? Who is always thinking of the nature? Jajna bhavitaha. To him nature is giving. Now if you don't think of nature, be grateful to nature or offer it to the devas correspondingly, then it is like a thief. You are becoming like a thief. The nature has given you, but you don't remember him at all. It is just like even our parents also. Parents has given us birth. Parents has helped us to grow. Everything they have given. But if you forget them, then are we not becoming thieves? So, Tairidattan apradayibhyo. Whatever nature has given, if you don't give it back to them, giving back to them means thinking of them, you offer to them. Offer to them means you are aware of their gift and you are grateful about the gift. Then you become a thief. That is, you become extremely selfish, constricted personality. Later on they will say, bhunjate te tvagam papaha. They eat sin. Ye pachantya atmakaranat. Those who are absolutely selfish and live their life only for themselves, they are always eating papa. Papa means what? Constriction. That is the constriction. If you don't think of anybody and you do everything for the selfish end, that means you are remaining constricted. In spirituality, any constriction is papa. Even punya also, by punya, if your ego is enhanced, then it is a papa. In spirituality, punya means whatever leads to expansion, and papa means whatever leads you to contraction of the mind, smallness of the mind. यज्ञशिष्टाशिनः सन्तो मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल्बिषैः भुञ्जते ते त्वघं पापा ये पचन्ति आत्मकारणात्. Those who are eating the, after the yajna, whatever the prasada is left, those who are taking that, they get rid of all the papas and kalmashas, all the taints, they overcome, they get freed of. But those who are only cooking and eating for themselves, that is creating everything for those who are selfish, they are only eating sin, is this statement. Now here also this muchyante sarva kilvishai means all sinfulness they are relieved. Actually what happens is that whenever you are getting over your selfishness, you are having the jajna bhavana, you are surrendering to the Lord or surrendering to nature, and you take away the selfishness which constricts your mind. Immediately the mind expands and you have a chitta prasada, you have a prasada in the mind. That is what is the yajna shishta ashinas santo. The santa, those who are good people, they are always eating the residue of the yajna. The yajna is the offering. Whenever you are making the offering, making the surrender, it results in a prasada. You have done it, if you have done it properly. If you are really surrendering, it will immediately give rise to an expansion of the mind, a lightness of the mind, a prasada in the mind. That is the residue of the yajna. Actually it is not the whatever we have offered. Generally we take the coconut and the homakunda prasada and eat it, and that is the prasada. That is only a material prasada. The real prasada, if we perform the yajna in any action whatsoever, whatever we are doing, then the prasada is the real prasada, is the placidity of the mind that dawns out of the removal of the selfishness, out of the expansion of the mind. That is the real prasada. We were in Rishikesh at one time, in Kailash Ashram. So Harihar Tirtha Maharaj, we went to see him, he was sitting. So one old lady had come in the morning, and she was about to go by about 4 o'clock or so. So she was repeatedly asking, Maharaj, आज हमें प्रसाद नहीं मिला. तो Maharaj is saying that प्रसाद तो आपको दे चुके हैं. But again after half an hour she says, Maharaj, आज हमें प्रसाद नहीं मिला है. Again Maharaj says, प्रसाद तो आपको दे चुके हैं. Then finally when she was about to go, Maharaj बहुत देर हो गया है, आज जाना है, आप प्रसाद तो कुछ दे दीजिए. Then the Maharaj smiled and said, प्रसाद लेने के लिए आपकी योग्यता नहीं है, आप यही प्रसाद लीजिए. बोल के थोड़ा कुछ ड्राई फ्रूट्स मखाना दे दिए. आप यही प्रसाद पूछ रहे हैं, आपको तो प्रसाद दिए थे, आप लिए नहीं, हम क्या करें, तो यही प्रसाद लीजिए. So we are always interested in our Shakkarpara prasad. Not the other prasada. The real prasada is in the mind, the placidity of the mind. Whenever we are able to get over, transcend our selfishness, make our mind expand, embrace, we get rid of our ragadvesha. Immediately, it is actually dealing with the ragadvesha. If we can remove the ragadvesha, immediately the prasada will dawn. And that is the real prasada. That is the yajna shishta ashinas santo. That is the residue of the yajna, what the good people they eat. See, without this mutuality, the nature cannot sustain. This mutuality they are talking about, even in nature also, you will find everything is related to the other. Even the droppings also, whatever we are rejecting, it has a role to play in nature. The cow dung is making the land fertile. Not only cow dung, every excreta has got a role to play. We don't know, we have not gone into the detail, but nature, nothing in nature is just like that. Everywhere there is a mutuality involved. We are not aware of this mutuality. In our life also we are not aware of this mutuality. Then he comes over to a full cycle. Evam pravartitam chakram, that the cycle of nature. अन्नाद् भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्यादन्न संभवः यज्ञात् भवति पर्जन्यो यज्ञः कर्म समुद्भवः कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षर समुद्भवम् तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्. These two shlokas, they have two meanings. One is the ritualistic meaning, that way also we can understand, but that will be very shallow meaning. Another is the Jajna, as Bhagavad Gita is explaining Jajna, that universal meaning. The ritualistic meaning is saying that Annat Bhavanti Bhutani, that all the beings are produced of Anna. Anna means whatever is being, we are eating. It need not be only eating, whatever we are taking, they are also Anna. Truly speaking, when you go to the larger dimension, Anna means all object, the entire objectude is Anna. Why? Because the I in us, the consciousness, is the only subject, and it is, all other things are object for it. So the entire objectude, including our thoughts, emotions, everything is Anna. And Annada, the eating, is the subject, the I in us. But in smaller sense, Anna means whatever we are eating or seeing with the eyes, hearing with the ears, etc. So here it is particularly in the initial stage of explanation, Annat means from the food we eat, Bhavanti Bhutani, the beings are made of the food. That is very true. Without food nothing will grow. Everything, even the plants are growing, taking some food from the soil. Everything is out of food. Parjanyat anna sammavaha. Any anna is produced out of rain, cloud. The cloud sheds rain, and from the rain the anna is, the food is growing. Jajñāt bhavati parjanyaha. They are saying that for rain and cloud, jajnas have to be performed. Now here in the ritualistic sense, we have to accept it, because it is the Vedic declaration that jajna creates rain. Now in our life we have seen it to be true. In many cases we have seen that there is a saying also, whenever any work is very well performed, without selfishness or so, auspicious work is done, Prakriti immediately sheds, that some rain comes at the end of it. And when it rains, people feel happy and satisfied about it. After the end of a yajna, if it doesn't rain, they feel unfulfilled, that the nature has not sanctioned. They feel that the nature has not sanctioned. But we have seen it in various cases also, that there is no cloud, nothing, but after the work is done, clouds come and rain. Many people tried to explain that it is because of the things we are burning in the Jajna Kunda and that is creating the rain. I don't have any idea about it, I don't know. But what I am saying is that we have found that the end of the Jajna, generally in many cases, I have seen rain. Not only that, in some of the movements also we have seen that when the major procession is led and the final movement is done and it has been successful, there has been rain. So even some big program, huge program for 3-4 days or 12 days, at the end of it, if it rains, we always feel successful about it. So Jajñāt bhavati parjanyaha is, in that sense, if you take the ritualistic sense of the two verses. Jajñaha karma samudbhavaha. Any jajna is actually action, karma. But karma also means the Vedas. Because karma kanda of the Vedas, that is also called karma. So that sense also it is okay that all the jajnas they are the instructions, injunctions of the Vedas. So they are all originated from the Vedas. Then he says, karma brahmodbhavam viddhi. That this Brahma also is called the Vedas. Vedas also are called Brahman. That is the expressed Brahman. Why? Because we call it, you must have heard that the Vedas are Apaurushaya. Vedas means including the Upanishads. They are called Apaurushaya. People have the idea that Apaurushaya means they are all dropped from the sky, nobody has composed. It is not in that sense Apaurushaya. They are written in the language which human beings are using, that is fine. But what happens is that the Vedas consist of mantras. Each mantra has a power, natural power and all. Each mantra you will find there is a drashta rishi for that mantra. Gayatri, say Vishwamitra, na? Huh? Vishwamitra is the rishi for Gayatri mantra, drashta rishi. So, actually what happens is that the rishi, that is Maharshis, the seers, in their non-dual state of the mind, in their transcendental state of the mind, when the mind is not affected by the world, it's not under the clutch of the duality of the world, in that transcendental state of the mind, many truth is known by that mind. Many truth is seen. Whatever happens, depending on the situation, the truth is revealed in the mind. Because everything, whatever is happening, it is in the consciousness. So the mind, when it goes to the universal consciousness, plane of the universal consciousness, it is in tune with the universe. And there many truths will appear. So that discovery of the truth or revelation of the truth, it comes out as words from the mouth of the rishis. Do you get it? So they are revealed words. We don't call the Vedas as composed. Composition is with our intelligence and mind, we compose the poem and us. But in the case of the Vedas, Upanishads, we say they are revealed words. That is, the words just came down to them, they uttered the word, that's all. They have been the instrument to bring in the sound in expression of the truth. That is why they are called mantra drashta rishis. And the Vedas are only revelations, they are not composed. Vyasadeva has compiled this way that we are taking from here. But original mantras, they are not composed, they are revealed statements. So that way the Vedas themselves are called Brahman, because it is directly coming revelation from the consciousness. That is why they are called the expressed Brahman. Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi, Brahmakshara Samudbhavam. This Brahman, which is manifest as the universe, as the various words, that is actually has come from the Akshara, that means which is non-changing, ultimate, Nishkriya Brahman, that is functionless Brahman, which we get in touch with in Samadhi. There it is Nishkriya. But when it is expressed at the universe, when the whole universe is dancing on this consciousness, it is called Karya Brahma, or Brahma also is used there. So ultimately they are all from what they are saying is it is all from that transcendental consciousness, nothing else. Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishthitam. So if you take the whole sequence, that sarvagatam brahma, that transcendental consciousness, it is always in the yajna. Always present in yajna. That is the ritualistic yajna. Now I will explain from the point of view of the yajna attitude of our mind. So that way, this yajnad bhavati parjanyaha. This annad bhavanti bhutani. Parjanyad anna sammavaha. This annad bhavanti bhutani is as usual. From the food, the bhutas are born, and the anna is possible from parjanya. Now, jajnyad bhavati parjanyaha, that from the jajna parjanya is born. If you take the universal definition of jajna, it is very much true, because what is happening, the sea, is it not always allowing the sun, allowing its water to get evaporated? The sun is shining on the sea. The sun itself, by radiating its light and heat, it is performing jajna. The concentrated sun, it is getting distributed in the form of radiations everywhere. That is the non-selfish distribution, expansion of the sun. So the very radiation of the sun, everything in nature is jajna. The very radiation of the sun is a jajna. That sunlight when falls on the sea, the water from the sea is getting evaporated. That is, sea is not holding on the water, no, I will not give it for evaporation, this is my water, as you do generally. It is not doing like that. It is allowing the evaporation to take place. And there is a truth there, without that sea also will not survive. The evaporated water goes and forms the cloud and finally goes over to the mountains or so, either in the form of snow or in the form of rain it comes down. That is the jajna of the cloud.